In 1968, the Summer Olympic Games were held in Mexico City. In the men's marathon, some of you know this from watching the Olympics, is always the final event in the program, and the stands were absolutely packed with spectators that day. And when the first runner, Mama Wolde of Ethiopia, entered the stadium, the crowd exploded with applause. Far behind and far removed from that cheering crowd was John Stephen Akhwari of Tanzania. You see, having never trained at such an altitude, Akhwari was struggling with Mexico City's thin air 12 miles into the race when he collided with another runner and fell to the pavement, badly injuring his knee and dislocating his shoulder. With bandaged knee and throbbing head, he refused the pleas of the Olympic officials to drop out of the race, and he continued to run the remaining 14 plus miles of that marathon. More than an hour after Wolde crossed the finish line to win the gold medal, with most of the fans long gone, John Akhwari staggered into that nearly empty Olympic stadium, hobbled around the track to the cheers of a few thousand stalwart spectators, and collapsed across the finish line. He was the 57th and final runner to complete the race. 18 others had dropped out. When interviewed later and asked why he continued running, he said, "My country did not send me 5,000 miles to start a race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish a race." Committed. Committed. What does it mean for us to be committed? What challenges are we prepared to face? What obstacles are we prepared to overcome? And what sacrifices are we prepared to make to honor our commitments? Are we people of John Akhwari's caliber and character? I think you are. I believe you are. Now, as an English major, I know that commit means different things. You commit funds to a project, you commit a dead body into the ground or a live person into a mental institution, or you entrust a responsibility into someone's care, like maybe a committee. You can also commit a crime or commit yourself to a relationship. Committed can be good news or bad news. But we can also commit ourselves to a course of action. We make a promise or a pledge, obligating ourselves to something. That's the sense in which John Akhwari was committed when he willed his battered body through 14 miles of pain to cross the finish line of an almost empty stadium. He was carrying in his heart a promise that he was determined to live out to his nation. Today, I'm going to ask you to make a promise. It is a promise to our congregation and religious tradition, past and future. A promise to our nation, the principles and ideals for which it stands. And most important, to make a promise to yourself. You see, in 12 weeks, in this very space, on a Sunday afternoon, the members of this congregation will vote to call the next settled minister of this religious community. This is an historic event. It has only happened 5 times in the last 111 years. This is a turning point in the history of this congregation, and I ask you to commit yourself to doing all that is in your power to ensure that the ministry to which you call my colleague in May will be equipped for success. And that ministry, your ministry together, needs to be successful. Now, about 25% of you, maybe a third of you, came to one of the Quantum Leap workshops sponsored by the Ministerial Transition Team. The first was in May of last year. The most recent was in September. You heard me talk about the American religious landscape today. It's worrisome. Religious identification is weakening among younger Americans. Religious participation is declining, and churches are closing their doors permanently at alarming rates. One needs only look out the window to see one of the casualties right next door, a congregation that was 2 years older than our own that went out of business 4 years ago. These are tough times for institutional religion. And yet, at the same time, individual spirituality remains strong in this country. The human need for community is undiminished, and the demand for social services like our own mesh ministry to the homeless is skyrocketing in America, just as our nation seems to have lurched in the direction of callous indifference and institutionalized injustice. Now today we are kicking off our congregation's annual fund drive, the theme of which is 100% committed, now more than ever. Friends, as religious liberals, as free thinkers, as compassionate souls, as justice-seeking people in possession of a sound moral compass, you need to be 100% committed now more than ever to ensuring that this congregation shines brightly as a beacon of justice, stands strong as a sanctuary for the discouraged and dispossessed, and serves powerfully as a launching pad for action in the years to come. And friends, you will be called to action. Make no mistake, we are at a turning point in the history of this congregation and the history of our nation. Whether this congregation boldly helps to bend the arc of history toward justice, or bows down under the weight of indecisiveness and passively allows the inevitability of decline to wash over it, is entirely up to you. The difference between those two outcomes is your level of commitment to this congregation. W.H. Murray wrote it in his book, the reading Kate shared with us moments ago, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, always ineffectiveness. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Now, over the coming weeks, each household in this community is going to be contacted by a member of our annual fund drive team, ably led by Jerry Freed. Jerry, wave at everybody so you can talk to Jerry after the service if you choose. They're going to ask you to commit to either attending an intimate social event or being visited in your home by a member of the team. And during that gathering or visit, you're going to be asked about your experience in the congregation, your hopes for the future, and for your financial commitment to the congregation for the coming year. Now, remember, you're going to be asked to pledge a dollar amount for what you intend to give over the 12-month period between July of 2017 and June of 2018. We're asking for a number, not a check. So, and we're doing that because we need to prepare the operating budget for next year right now. And when all of our members and supporting friends, 100% of us, tell us what your intentions are, then we can create the most responsible budget possible that will equip your new minister-to-be with the resources she or he needs to help you put in place the ministry that you desire and dream of in the world. One of the responsibilities of membership, as defined in this congregation's bylaws, is making an annual pledge resulting in a financial contribution of record. It does not in any way stipulate how much that pledge should be. Just pledge something. We need 100% response rate so we can plan well. Now, I share that with you by way of saying that I remember before I went to seminary, I was a volunteer. I was a member of a congregation, and I was dirt poor. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I was very embarrassed by not having much money to give, and so when it came time for a pledge drive, I didn't pledge anything because I was ashamed. And nobody took me aside and explained, Justin, it doesn't matter what you pledge. Just give us a number to work with so we can budget accordingly. And instead, I just dropped my money in the collection plate. What I learned years later was the money I was putting in the collection plate every Sunday exceeded the pledges of some members. But I didn't tell anybody because I was embarrassed and uninformed. And I don't want you to have that experience. And I also want you to know that your charitable contributions to this community are fully tax deductible. So take advantage of that. So it doesn't matter. Make whatever gift you can. No gift is too small. And no gift is too large. So, just saying that. We want to prepare the way for a great new ministry in August, and your generous financial support will make that possible. Now, I can tell you that as the interim minister, I have been with you for a little over a year and a half. I have had an opportunity to be with you, to listen to you, to work with you, to serve you, and to look around. And I can tell you that most of the programming that you experience when you come here Sunday morning, the music, the worship service, the religious education, that stuff is the tip of the iceberg. That's the visual manifestation of the ministry, but most of what happens out of sight or out beyond our scope of our awareness. The doors are open, the lights are on, the roof is secure, the heat's on, the snow's cleared, the sidewalk is salted. All of that requires effort, and it requires money. And I can tell you that there are a lot of areas of the ministry that I think require some attention, and some of that attention is financial. This is a good, healthy congregation with just as bright a future as you want to give it. And I think that with some judicious application of resources in the right areas, you will do phenomenally well in the future with your new ministry. Now, it's not my place to tell you what to do in the years to come, but I will tell you my personal opinion. If I were going to invest some money someplace, I would invest it in your multimedia ministry. Through the goodness of Jerry's heart, he's videotaping this sermon this morning. But every single sermon delivered from this pulpit should be videotaped, should be posted on YouTube on Sunday afternoon as a service to the community, as an outreach. Think about it. Every 88-year-old Unitarian Universalist like my mother, who can no longer go to services anymore, is trapped in her home. All you got to do is put a video up there. She can watch it on her computer, and she can be part of the community and get a spiritual message on Sunday morning in her home. We should be making these videos available as a pastoral outreach to your homebound members. And we have got a whole cadre of some of our most committed members who are teaching the kids downstairs right now. And they're missing this message. The pulpit is the primary platform from which your minister is teaching and educating the adults. That's all we do as ministers. Rabbi means teacher. Imam means guide. Your minister is here to teach and guide you on issues, theological, spiritual, moral, ethical. And our teachers don't have access to that. We should have the video up there every Sunday afternoon so that they can download it onto their phones and watch it when they're on the train or whatever they're doing. They should have access to this important part of communal life. And also, what better way to get the message of Unitarian Universalism out to your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers than to say, hey, let me forward you a link to a video. It is a great form of outreach. So it's in-reach, it's educational, it's outreach, and it's a missed opportunity that can easily be solved but for some judiciously targeted financial resources. Anyway, that's enough. I get wound up about these things because I get excited on your behalf. I get excited about Unitarian Universalism, and I look at the world and I think, God, America needs us. Essex County needs you. Be there. Be there for the people who need us. And I'll tell you, I fear there is a storm coming, and this congregation needs to stand strong to face it and serve as a sanctuary from those fleeing from it. In our responsive reading this morning, we read aloud the words of Olympia Brown, our spiritual grandmother, the first woman to graduate from seminary and to be ordained to full-time ministry, our Universalist mother. She said, stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice for it. This faith which has comforted us in sorrow and strengthened us for noble duty. I stand by this faith. I can't tell you what your most generous gift is to the pledge tribe. My guidance is give until you feel good. Make the gift that makes you smile. I'll tell you that in 2016, I gave away 7.3% of my gross income before taxes. And 70% of that money went to Unitarian Universalist organizations, including 3 different congregations. Make a gift that makes you feel good. Make a gift that shows your commitment. The world needs Unitarian Universalism, and it needs this congregation. More than 400 years ago, the Japanese Shinto scholar Mochimasa Hikita wrote, "The truly upright is that which flows out of your genuine innermost self as a result of sincerity, even in the most minor of your activities." Make those commitments, whatever is true and good and right for you, and then live that out. In our religious tradition, we don't ask members to swear by creeds that defy reason or accept doctrines that offend their sensibilities. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm the sacred oneness that flows eternally through all people, all life, all creation, and the one interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And then we commit ourselves to thinking, speaking, and acting in ways that are grounded in and informed by this expansive understanding of the holy and this radically inclusive view of the human family. We're called to put our faith into action in large ways and small, to practice kindness and effect justice in this world. And the need has never been greater. Kindness and justice. Think about that. I told you on December 11th in my sermon, there's a segment of our population that is irrationally committed to the belief that an unfettered free market economy can solve all of society's problems, that despises government, and that spits out the words social welfare with bitterness and contempt. There are plenty of Scrooges in our world today, and some of them occupy or may soon positions of real power. 2 months after I spoke those words, I can tell you that a vision darker and more dangerous than mere callous, mean-spirited, Scrooge-like behavior is afoot in this land. It will take courage, determination, strength, vision, and yes, commitment to weather the storm that I fear may soon break upon our land. Anyone who has studied the rise of totalitarian states will tell you that they emerge once all political opposition in a nation has been eliminated, all civic organizations and unions have been suppressed, and all independent dissenting religious voices have been silenced. Our society will need strong, resourceful institutions full of resolute, committed souls, guided by able leaders, if we are to preserve the values we hold dear as religious liberals in a democratic society. We all need to be 100% committed now more than ever. Commit to a future in which this congregation shines with strength. Commit to our shared values and a common vision for the future. Commit to action that will bolster our democracy and secure justice in our society. Commit to being and becoming the transformed person that this congregation's mission statement summons us to be. And commit to doing all that is in your power to ensure that a new ministry will prosper and flourish here in the years ahead. To return to the words of our great forebearer Olympia Brown, do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message. As I think about the days ahead, I hear the words of this morning's opening hymn ringing in my ears. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. I sing that song. I think of John Stephen Aguirre running through that Mexican summer, tired, alone, in pain, but committed and ultimately unstoppable. You are more powerful than you know. This congregation is capable of great things. And our community, our society, our children need you to commit yourself to creating the bright future that could be. Dr. King famously said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Commit to being the people and building a religious community that will help bend history toward morality and equip humanity with hope. You are just the right people to do so, and you, too, can be unstoppable. Amen.